What if I told you that even if I started 2026 with nothing, not a single dollar, I could turn it into massive wealth by the end of the year? Today, I'm sharing the exact blueprint I would follow step by step, because success isn't about luck, it's about strategy. David Tepper built billions by thinking differently, acting decisively, and taking calculated risks. In this video, we're breaking down the exact steps he would take if he had zero 2026. From mindset shifts to investment strategies, this is a no-fluff, actionable roadmap for anyone ready to create serious wealth this year. Everything truly begins in your mind. David Tepper, one of the most successful investors of our time, has repeatedly emphasized that fear is far more dangerous than failure. While failure can teach invaluable lessons, fear stops most people before they even take the first step. If I were starting 2026 with $0, the very first thing I would do is focus relentlessly on developing a mindset of abundance and resilience. This isn't just motivational talk. It's a practical necessity. When you start with nothing, the challenges are enormous, and your mental framework is the only tool that can transform obstacles into stepping stones. Adopting an abundance mindset means seeing opportunity where others see scarcity. It's about believing that resources, ideas, and possibilities exist everywhere if you are willing to look, learn, and act. This mindset shifts your thinking from limitation to possibility, and it fundamentally changes the way you approach life, work, and financial decisions. Resilience, on the other hand, is the muscle that allows you to endure setbacks and keep moving forward. Starting with zero is not a failure, it's a test of your resilience. Every obstacle becomes a lesson if you are willing to internalize the experience rather than be defeated by it. Tepper himself faced countless challenges early in his career, yet he consistently used these moments as learning opportunities, refining his strategy and sharpening his judgment. If I had $0, I would embrace the discomfort and uncertainty, knowing that each difficult situation strengthens mental fortitude. Resilience allows you to recover quickly from mistakes, to view rejection as feedback, and to maintain consistent momentum even when progress feels painfully slow. Fear, if left unchecked, paralyzes action. Many people miss life-changing opportunities because they focus on potential loss rather than potential gain. Tepper's philosophy is clear. Fear kills more opportunities than failure ever could. Adopting this perspective requires constant mental discipline, acknowledging the fear, but not letting it control your actions. Instead of avoiding risks, I would analyze them, measure them, and use them as tools for growth. Every decision, every risk taken with preparation becomes a potential reward, not a threat. Finally, the ultimate goal isn't merely accumulating money, it's cultivating clarity and confidence. Money is the result of aligned thinking, strategic action, and disciplined execution, but clarity and confidence are the prerequisites that allow these things to happen. With a clear mind, you can identify opportunities that others overlook. With confidence, you can act decisively when it matters most. If I were starting 2026 with nothing, I would dedicate myself to this mental framework first, knowing that wealth, success, and fulfillment are built from the inside out. By mastering my mind, fear becomes a tool, setbacks become lessons, and zero becomes the starting point for extraordinary growth. Money always follows skill, and nowhere is this more evident than in the career of David Tepper. Skill is the foundation upon which wealth is built, and without it, even the best opportunities can slip through your fingers. If I were starting 2026 with zero, my first investment would be in myself, my knowledge, my abilities, and my capacity to make informed decisions. Tepper spent countless hours mastering the market, studying patterns, analyzing deals, and understanding the subtle signals that indicate opportunity. He didn't rely on luck or timing. He relied on skill honed through deliberate, consistent effort. That same approach applies whether you're investing, building a business, or creating any form of wealth. The more skilled you become, the more leverage you have over your circumstances. Starting from nothing doesn't mean you can't begin immediately. There is an abundance of free and low-cost resources available today. Online courses, tutorials, podcasts, books, and forums where experts share their knowledge. Every hour spent learning compounds over time. Even small daily increments of focused learning can turn ignorance into expertise faster than you might think. Mentors are equally valuable. Observing and learning from those who have already walked the path you're beginning allows you to avoid costly mistakes and accelerates your development. Tepper himself often credited learning from both successes and failures, not just his own, but from the market and from colleagues, as a major factor in his exponential growth. Skill doesn't just create knowledge, it creates credibility. When you know what you're doing, people notice. When you can analyze a deal, spot trends, or make smart decisions under pressure, doors open naturally. Credibility is magnetic. It attracts investors, collaborators, and opportunities that someone without skill would never encounter. Tepper understood this deeply. He built his empire by being the person others trusted to make complex financial calls. Starting with I would focus on building skills that demonstrate competence, reliability, and insight, because these qualities accelerate growth faster than capital alone ever could. Sharpening skill is not a passive process. It requires deliberate practice, reflection, and adaptation. Every deal you analyze, every market you study, and every strategy you simulate increases your ability to make high-quality decisions under uncertainty. Tepper's approach shows that skill allows you to act decisively while others hesitate, and decisive action is where real wealth is created. Ultimately, money is a byproduct of capability. If you focus on acquiring, refining, and applying skill consistently, financial gains follow almost automatically. Starting 2026 with nothing, I would devote my energy to becoming a master of my craft. Whether it's financial markets, entrepreneurship, or any other high-leverage field, skill is the most valuable currency you can acquire. In the long run, skill compounds just like money, and those who invest in it relentlessly are the ones who create lasting wealth, credibility, and opportunity. Even when starting with absolutely nothing, every single dollar takes on immense importance. David Tepper, throughout his career, has demonstrated an unwavering respect for capital. He never takes money for granted, and he never spends it carelessly. If I were starting 26 with $0, the first principle I would adopt is the relentless prioritization of saving and the strategic deployment of every penny earned. This is not about being frugal for frugality's sake. It's about creating a foundation that allows opportunity to grow into something significant. Every small saving, no matter how modest, becomes the seed for larger financial moves. The mindset shifts from scarcity to strategy, understanding that money is a tool, and like any tool, it must be respected, maintained, and used deliberately. Budgeting is the cornerstone of this approach. Tepper doesn't rely on luck, he relies on discipline. Budgeting like a billionaire in training doesn't mean denying yourself the necessities of life. It means knowing exactly where every dollar goes, making intentional choices, and eliminating waste. When starting from zero, this level of discipline transforms ordinary decisions into wealth-building actions. It requires tracking expenses meticulously, distinguishing between needs and wants, and continuously evaluating which expenditures accelerate your long-term goals versus which ones merely provide temporary satisfaction. Every dollar saved isn't just money in the bank. It's leverage, it's power, and it's a ticket to the next opportunity. Strategic deployment of funds is equally critical. Saving alone isn't enough. Money only grows when it's put to work intelligently. Tepper would carefully assess potential uses for any available capital, whether it's investing in a high-potential asset, starting a small venture, or even purchasing educational resources to increase skill. This disciplined approach ensures that every dollar contributes to growth rather than stagnates. The principle is simple: deploy money where it multiplies rather than diminishes. By prioritizing high-value opportunities over instant gratification, you create a compounding effect that accelerates wealth creation exponentially. The mindset of respecting capital goes beyond numbers. It's psychological. When you treat money as sacred and approach spending and investment decisions with intention, your confidence and strategic clarity improve. Small savings, once accumulated and deployed wisely, build momentum. One wisely executed decision compounds into the next, and before long, you are operating with leverage far beyond your initial means. Tepper's philosophy shows that the combination of discipline, strategy, and respect for capital can turn even a modest starting point into substantial financial growth. Ultimately, starting with nothing is not a disadvantage. It's an opportunity to build habits of discipline that the wealthy often take for granted. Every dollar saved, every expenditure scrutinized, and every investment made with precision creates a pathway to financial independence. By respecting capital, budgeting strategically, and deploying funds thoughtfully, you convert scarcity into power, positioning yourself for opportunities that many take for granted. This principle is not just about surviving, it's about laying the groundwork for extraordinary financial achievement. David Tepper built his fortune by mastering the art of identifying undervalued assets, those opportunities that others overlook, underestimate, or avoid out of fear. The principle is simple but powerful. Where fear and ignorance dominate the market, immense opportunity often hides. If I were starting 2026 with $0, the first thing I would do is dedicate myself to researching niches, markets, and industries where most people hesitate to venture. This isn't about reckless risk-taking. It's about disciplined analysis and strategic positioning. Understanding which areas are undervalued, misunderstood, or ignored allows you to act decisively while others hesitate, and in that hesitation lies the potential for extraordinary gains. Starting with nothing means leveraging knowledge as your most valuable asset. Tepper didn't stumble upon wealth by chance. He studied markets relentlessly, sought out inefficiencies, and identified where the crowd's fear had artificially depressed value. If I had $0, I'd begin by conducting deep research, using publicly available resources, industry reports, and online data to find opportunities that others dismiss. Every successful investor, from Tepper to Warren Buffett, relies on this principle. The best opportunities are often hidden in plain sight, buried under misconceptions or collective doubt. With enough diligence and patience, even a small initial capital outlay can grow exponentially when deployed strategically in undervalued areas. The psychological element cannot be overstated. Fear and ignorance create a disconnect between perceived and intrinsic value. Tepper thrived because he saw what others refused to acknowledge. Risk is not inherently bad. It's a measure of potential return versus actual understanding. While others panic during downturns or avoid unpopular sectors, Tepper saw opportunity. With $0, I would adopt the same mindset, treating fear as a signal rather than a barrier. Areas that intimidate the majority often hold the highest potential, and approaching them with preparation and rationality transforms perceived danger into calculated advantage. Finding undervalued assets also requires patience and discipline. Tepper often waited for the right moment, analyzing trends, and waiting for conditions that aligned with his strategy. Acting too early or without sufficient information can be as dangerous as inaction. Starting from nothing, I would focus on building an informational edge, learning the patterns, understanding the fundamentals, and identifying market inefficiencies before committing resources. Even small, well-informed actions can snowball into larger opportunities over time. Finally, the mindset of seeking value where others fear to tread is about cultivating courage and insight. Every great fortune begins where others see risk and retreat. By combining research, strategic analysis, and a willingness to act when others hesitate, even starting from zero becomes a launching pad for wealth creation. Tepper's success demonstrates that opportunity is not distributed randomly. It is captured by those who prepare, study, and act when fear and ignorance paralyze the rest. Approaching markets with this mindset turns obstacles into advantages and transforms scarcity into an engine for growth, proving that even with nothing, extraordinary achievement is possible. Risk is the price of reward, but it must always be informed and calculated. David Tepper's entire career is a testament to the principle that great wealth is not built by avoiding risk, but by understanding it and managing it intelligently. If I were starting 2026 with $0, I would treat risk not as a threat, but as a tool, one that, when wielded correctly, can accelerate progress faster than effort alone. Tepper doesn't make impulsive decisions. He evaluates every opportunity with precision, weighing potential gains against possible losses. He understands that risk without analysis is gambling, but risk with insight and preparation is power. Starting from nothing, the first step is to identify small, high potential opportunities where risk is measurable and manageable. This could be a stock in a market that others have ignored, a side hustle with minimal overhead but scalable potential, or a micro business targeting a niche audience underserved by larger competitors. The key is not to chase every opportunity blindly, but to select ventures where the upside significantly outweighs the downside, and where failure, if it occurs, can be absorbed as a learning experience rather than a disaster. Tepper's philosophy shows that informed risk, taking compounds over time. The momentum from one calculated move creates confidence and resources for the next. Understanding risk also requires deep research and preparation. Tepper studies market conditions, company fundamentals, and macroeconomic trends before committing capital. Even when starting from zero, I would apply the same principle by spending time learning, analyzing, and simulating scenarios before taking action. Knowledge mitigates uncertainty, and uncertainty is the primary source of fear. By transforming uncertainty into informed decision-making, small risks become stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Calculated risks also teach invaluable lessons. Each decision, whether it succeeds or fails, sharpens judgment, and builds experience. Tepper often emphasizes that mistakes are part of the process. They are not setbacks, but data points that refine strategy. Starting with nothing, I would embrace this approach fully, recognizing that every small risk taken with preparation accelerates growth, improves decision-making, and builds the mental toughness necessary for bigger opportunities in the future. Moreover, risk-taking creates leverage. One successful small venture can fund multiple future opportunities, compounding impact exponentially. Tepper's method demonstrates that the greatest fortunes emerge not from avoiding risk, but from taking intelligent, timely, and disciplined risks consistently. Starting 2026 from zero, I would apply this principle relentlessly: pick small, calculated risks, execute with precision, and reinvest gains into increasingly valuable opportunities. Over time, the combination of preparation, insight, and courageous action turns modest beginnings into substantial wealth. Ultimately, the lesson is clear: risk is not the enemy, it is the currency of progress. With careful analysis, discipline, and courage, even starting with nothing, risk can be transformed from a barrier into a powerful engine for growth, propelling you toward financial freedom and lasting success, just as it did for David Tepper. You can't go from zero to billionaire alone. David Tepper's career demonstrates that even the most brilliant individuals achieve extraordinary success not in isolation, but by surrounding themselves with the right people. The quality of your network is often directly proportional to the quality of your results. If I were starting 2026 with nothing, my first priority after developing mindset, skills, and capital discipline would be to build a network of mentors, peers, and collaborators who could accelerate my growth. These are people who challenge your thinking, provide guidance, and open doors that you might not even know exist. Tepper didn't climb to the top of the financial world by working in a vacuum. He consistently sought out and learned from the smartest minds around him. Mentors are particularly crucial when starting from zero, because they help you avoid mistakes that could cost time, money, or momentum. They have been through the battles, and their insights are priceless. Tepper understood the value of mentorship, studying the approaches of experienced investors and learning from their successes and failures. If I were starting 2026 with nothing, I would actively seek mentors in every field relevant to my goals: finance, entrepreneurship, marketing, and even personal development. The goal would be to absorb knowledge rapidly, adapt strategies that have been proven to work, and leverage their experience to make faster, more informed decisions. Peers are equally important. Surrounding yourself with like-minded, ambitious individuals creates an environment of accountability and inspiration. Tepper often emphasizes the power of discussion, debate, and collaboration. When you engage with people who are driven and knowledgeable, you are constantly pushed to raise your own standards. Starting from zero, I would find communities, mastermind groups, or online forums where ambitious individuals exchange ideas, challenge assumptions, and share opportunities. Every interaction is a chance to learn, refine your approach, and discover possibilities that would remain invisible in isolation. Collaborators extend your reach beyond what you can achieve alone. Tepper has frequently partnered with others to capitalize on opportunities that require combined resources or complementary expertise. If I had zero, I would seek collaborators who bring skills, capital, or networks that I lack, forming partnerships that allow both parties to achieve more than they could individually. Strategic collaboration multiplies potential impact and accelerates progress in ways that solo effort simply cannot match. Building this network is not just transactional, it requires adding value in return. Tepper doesn't just seek out talent, he contributes insights, support, and expertise. The principle is simple: provide value first and doors will open. Starting from zero, I would focus on learning as much as possible, offering help where I can, and building genuine relationships that are mutually beneficial. Over time, this network becomes a force multiplier, opening doors, revealing opportunities, and providing guidance that transforms a small starting point into substantial success. Ultimately, no one achieves extraordinary results alone. Mentors, peers, and collaborators are the accelerators that turn knowledge, skill, and courage into tangible outcomes. Surrounding yourself with the right people creates exponential leverage. By learning from the best, engaging with ambitious peers, and collaborating strategically, even starting from zero, you can position yourself for remarkable growth. Following the very path that David Tepper exemplifies in his career, even with $0 in the bank, leverage remains one of the most powerful tools for creating wealth. David Tepper has consistently demonstrated that understanding and using leverage responsibly is a key factor in building extraordinary fortunes. Leverage isn't limited to borrowing money. It extends to intellectual, social, and temporal leverage as well. If I were starting 2026 with nothing, I would focus on leveraging everything I have at my disposal to accelerate growth and create compounding advantages over time. The principle is simple. By multiplying the effect of limited resources, even a small action can lead to outsized results. Intellectual leverage is the first and perhaps most important type. Tepper spends countless hours studying markets, analyzing patterns, and absorbing knowledge from every possible source. Starting from zero, I would invest heavily in learning and understanding my field, recognizing that knowledge is the most powerful form of leverage available to someone without capital. Books, online courses, podcasts, mentors, and free resources all become tools that amplify the value of my decisions. Every insight gained reduces uncertainty and increases the potential for high-quality choices, creating a multiplier effect on future actions. Time is another critical form of leverage. Tepper is known for his ability to act quickly and decisively when opportunities arise, but this is only possible because he has prepared in advance. Starting from nothing, I would maximize every hour, prioritizing high-impact tasks that move the needle toward growth. By focusing on learning, networking, and executing small but strategic actions daily, each hour compounds over weeks and months, producing results far greater than the sum of individual efforts. Time leveraged intelligently can transform a small initial investment of effort into exponential progress. Social leverage amplifies success even further. Tepper surrounds himself with the smartest people and forms relationships that multiply his capacity to act. Starting from zero, I would build relationships with mentors, peers, and collaborators who can provide guidance, resources, and opportunities that I cannot access alone. A single introduction or piece of advice from a well-connected individual can accelerate progress by months, if not years. Social leverage is about creating mutually beneficial relationships that extend reach, insight, and influence, effectively increasing the impact of every action taken. Financial leverage, while more limited when starting with zero, can still be applied on a micro scale. This could include small loans, strategic partnerships, or reinvesting tiny earnings into scalable opportunities. Tepper uses leverage carefully, always weighing risk against reward, and I would adopt the same mindset. Use only what can be managed and ensure each deployment has the potential to compound returns. Even small wins can snowball over time when applied with discipline and reinvested intelligently. Ultimately, leverage transforms scarcity into opportunity. With intellectual, temporal, social, and financial leverage, even someone starting from nothing can accelerate growth far beyond what raw effort alone would achieve. Tepper's success demonstrates that disciplined leverage is a force multiplier, allowing knowledge, effort, and tiny resources to compound into extraordinary wealth over time. By identifying and applying leverage in every possible dimension, the journey from zero to significant achievement becomes not just possible, but inevitable when combined with preparation, discipline, and action. I can continue by expanding the remaining 3 key points in the same 500-word style, making your full Tepper-inspired YouTube script complete and ready for narration. Do you want me to do that? Ideas are worthless without execution. David Tepper's career proves that brilliance alone does not create wealth. Action does. Even the best strategies, the most insightful market analysis, and the cleverest business concepts are meaningless if they remain unimplemented. Starting 2026 with $0, I would focus relentlessly on converting thought into action, because execution is the engine that turns potential into tangible results. Tepper moves fast not because he acts recklessly, but because he's meticulously prepared. Preparation allows speed, speed allows momentum, and momentum, once established, compounds faster than any amount of money ever could. Execution begins with clarity and planning. Tepper understands exactly what he wants to achieve and maps out the steps to reach it. Starting from zero, I would define clear, achievable goals and break them into actionable steps. Every day would have a specific set of tasks designed to move the needle toward growth. These tasks wouldn't be random. They would be high leverage actions, chosen because their execution multiplies results disproportionately. Execution is not about being busy. It is about being effective. Each action, no matter how small, must advance the broader strategy and generate momentum that carries forward into subsequent decisions. Momentum is a critical concept. Tepper knows that once you begin moving in the right direction, progress accelerates. Each executed step builds confidence, teaches lessons, and opens new opportunities. Conversely, Procrastination kills momentum before it can start. When starting from zero, there is no margin for delay. Every hour, every effort, and every decision compounds over time. Momentum compounds faster than money because it creates both tangible and intangible assets. Skills sharpen, networks expand, insights grow, and confidence multiplies. Action generates opportunities that inaction never will. Preparation amplifies execution. Tepper studies, analyzes, and plans in advance so that when the right moment arrives, he can act decisively. Starting from nothing, I would spend time understanding markets, trends, and potential ventures before committing resources. This preparation reduces risk and ensures that every action is purposeful and informed. When opportunities arise, hesitation is eliminated because knowledge and strategy have already laid the groundwork. This is why execution, paired with preparation, becomes unstoppable. Execution also involves resilience and adaptability. Not every step will succeed, but Tepper treats each failure as a lesson and quickly adjusts his approach. Starting from zero, I would adopt the same mindset, take decisive action, learn from outcomes, and iterate without delay. Speed without reflection is reckless. Reflection without speed is useless. Execution is the balance of both rapid, informed, and adaptable action. Ultimately, ideas are inert until executed. Tepper's wealth and success stem not from what he thinks, but from what he does consistently, decisively, and intelligently. Starting with nothing, I would commit to daily execution as the most powerful force available, turning preparation, opportunity, and momentum into tangible results. Action creates compounding growth that money alone cannot match, and it is the bridge between ambition and achievement. David Tepper understands a principle that too many aspiring investors overlook. Avoiding ruin is just as important, if not more important, than making gains. Wealth is not built solely by chasing profits. It is built by carefully protecting what you have while growing it. If I were starting 2026 with $0, I would adopt this mindset immediately. Every dollar earned, no matter how small, would be treated as precious capital. The discipline to preserve that capital is what allows momentum to build over time and ensures that setbacks do not derail the long-term journey toward financial independence. Tepper's approach shows that risk, taking without caution, is a path to disaster, whereas measured action combined with protection of assets creates stability and opportunity simultaneously. Capital preservation begins with thoughtful decision-making. Tepper analyzes both the upside and downside of every move, understanding that a single mistake can wipe out months or even years of effort. Starting from nothing, I would adopt the same meticulous approach. Every investment, business venture, or financial decision would be carefully evaluated for risk versus reward. Low probability, high-risk gambles that could jeopardize future opportunities would be avoided. The goal is not to eliminate risk entirely. That would be impossible, but to ensure that every risk taken is calculated, manageable, and contributes to long-term growth rather than potential ruin. Reinvesting wisely is another cornerstone of preserving and growing capital. Tepper doesn't allow gains to sit idle. He redeploys them strategically into high-value opportunities that compound over time. Starting from zero, I would follow the same principle. Every dollar earned, even in small increments, would be reinvested into ventures, education, or assets that increase both knowledge and financial potential. The act of reinvesting compounds momentum and ensures that small wins snowball into larger opportunities, creating a cycle of growth that is both sustainable and resilient. Avoiding unnecessary risk also involves self-discipline and restraint. Tepper never splurges impulsively or chases trends without analysis. Starting with nothing, I would adopt this same principle by differentiating between strategic risk and reckless risk. Every decision would be guided by logic, preparation, and long-term vision rather than short-term temptation. Protecting capital requires patience and a willingness to forego immediate gratification in exchange for long-term security and growth. Preservation of capital is ultimately about survival and leverage. Without protecting what you earn, even the most brilliant ideas and strategies can fail. Tepper's wealth is not just a product of aggressive moves. It is the result of knowing when to act and when to safeguard resources. Starting from zero, adopting this mindset ensures that the journey toward success continues uninterrupted, that setbacks are survivable, and that every opportunity can be approached from a position of strength. In the end, capital preservation is not merely a defensive strategy, it is a proactive one. By protecting what you earn, reinvesting wisely, and avoiding unnecessary risks, you maintain the foundation necessary to take advantage of larger opportunities as they arise. Tepper's approach demonstrates that long-term success is a balance between boldness and caution, and that wealth built without preservation is fragile, while wealth built with discipline is enduring. Even starting from nothing, this mindset transforms small beginnings into sustainable growth, ensuring the journey toward financial independence is continuous and unstoppable. Finally, success is not achieved by a single move or a single victory. It is achieved through constant analysis, adaptation, and scaling. David Tepper built his fortune not by celebrating small wins and stopping there, but by turning each success into a foundation for even greater achievements. If I were starting 2026 with $0, I would adopt the same relentless approach. Every small victory, every insight gained, and every incremental gain would be carefully examined for lessons and opportunities. Tepper's genius lies in his ability to recognize that initial success is only the beginning, the first domino in a chain that, when leveraged correctly, can lead to empire-level growth. Analysis is the first step in this compounding process. Tepper meticulously studies outcomes, understanding why some decisions succeed and why others fail. Starting from nothing, I would implement the same habit of constant evaluation. Every investment, side hustle, and effort would be reviewed critically, not to assign blame, but to extract actionable insights. This allows for rapid course correction and ensures that each future move is more informed and more powerful than the last. Analysis transforms random actions into a coherent, high-impact strategy, turning learning into an engine for growth. Adaptation is the second key element. Tepper never relies solely on what worked yesterday. He adapts to changing circumstances, market conditions, and emerging opportunities. If I had $0, I would remain flexible, ready to pivot whenever a better path or strategy emerges. Adaptation ensures that momentum is maintained, even when external conditions shift. By staying nimble and responsive, small wins can be transformed into sustained, scalable growth rather than fleeting victories. Every adjustment made increases efficiency, reduces risk, and positions you for the next big move. Scaling is the final crucial step. Tepper takes what works and amplifies it. Starting with $0, I would focus not just on making small gains, but on identifying opportunities to multiply them. This could mean reinvesting profits into more ambitious ventures, expanding a side hustle into a full-scale business, or leveraging networks to access larger opportunities. Scaling is what turns incremental progress into exponential growth. Each layer of success feeds the next, creating a compounding effect that accelerates results far faster than linear effort alone. The combination of skill, capital, and network compounds dramatically when analyzed, adapted, and scaled consistently. Tepper demonstrates that wealth is not built in isolation or by luck. It is the product of deliberate, ongoing refinement and expansion. By the end of 2026, even starting from $0, this disciplined approach would allow small wins to snowball into transformative outcomes. Skill improves with practice, capital grows with strategic deployment, and networks expand as connections are nurtured. Together, they create exponential leverage that multiplies opportunities far beyond what a single action could achieve. Ultimately, the lesson is clear: success is iterative and cumulative. By analyzing outcomes, adapting to circumstances, and scaling what works, even someone starting from nothing can generate extraordinary growth. Tepper's approach shows that the combination of preparation, execution, and continuous refinement transforms small beginnings into empire-level results. This mindset turns effort into momentum, wins into compounding opportunities, and a $0 starting point into a platform for extraordinary achievement. Starting at $0 isn't a weakness, it's an advantage. It forces focus, sharpens decisions, and ignites ambition. Follow this Tepper-inspired blueprint, and by December 2026, you won't just have money. You'll have the mindset, skill, and strategy of a billionaire. Start today, act decisively, and watch your fortune grow. If you found this plan actionable, hit that like button, subscribe for more billionaire strategies, and comment below. What's the first step you'll take to build your 2026 fortune?